गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। Today we're going to talk of Iran's nuclear darkness, and that's going to be dicey. What do I mean by saying Iran is going to be nuclear? What is nuclear darkness? Look, it's very simple. So far, Iran was under monitoring of some sort. I would say some sort only under IAEA. Now Iran says we don't want them. If the IAEA is kept out of Iran, no one will know what will happen in future. In the sense, how does the Iranian nuclear program go ahead? It's not going to happen now. It's going to happen over a long time, but there's a long-term problem. Oh, that's not acceptable to Israel. Israel defense minister has already said, look, if we come to know something is happening in Iran, we'll go after it. So this war is not over. The overt phase of the war is over, but the covert phase has already begun. Something going on. So in which case there will be a retaliation. All that is on the cards. But more than that, what's going to happen between Israel and Iran is one part of the story. But the major part of the story is US, which intervened in this war. What are they going to do? Trump has spoken of regime change. He said Iran can't have nuclear weapons under any conditions. No enrichment. Forget nuclear weapons. He said no enrichment. So where is this all going? It's all confusing. And then you see statements from Khamenei, who says still debt to America, debt to Israel is still his watchword. It's coming on different language, but the fundamentals are still there. With this in view, I said let's dissect the story and just see what's happening. Because there are two issues: nuclear issues, regime change. And why does it affect us? It affects us because there's a neighbor. It's going to affect Pakistan. Pakistan affects us. Today we'll just confine ourselves to Iran. What's going to happen further? We'll talk, of RIC and things like that a little way down the line, because I think our world is changing and we need to understand this. That's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned. What is the aim of this war? Go back when this war started between Iran and Israel. What did Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu said? He said, we want to destroy Iran's nuclear capability. Has that been achieved? Or is it just that the date is set back? Inherent in that is regime change. Can nuclear capability of a nation be completely destroyed without the political support? If the political support and the will is there, you'll achieve it. We did it. India did it. India did it one fine day. They said, here is it. We've done a peaceful nuclear explosion. And then 20 years later, we said, okay, here is it. We have atom bombs. Okay. Now, Iran has not had an easy path ahead. But what next? What next if it goes dark? That's the question. So, should it go dark? Can it be allowed to go dark? Will USA allow it to go dark? Can USA stop it from going dark? These are the questions. And I'm just exciting your mind, a few issues which I picked up at my own ideas. And about regime change also. We'll talk of it. And then we'll leave it. And because it's time for us after today, the way I look at it, unless something else happens, we're not going to come back to Iran in a hurry. I would rather talk of other things which concern India. Right? In any case, Iran is out of the headlines in most newspapers. But there are issues. Okay, let's get going. There's a reaction from Iran. Trump said, I saved Khamenei and I saved this, I said that, all that, which he's come out with, in various, and it's been reported, it's come out in his Truth Social, tweet, everything. And, Iranians have said, look, that's disrespectful and unacceptable. is you didn't save anyone. I mean, that's the way their propaganda has come out with. Well, so be it. So there's a kitbit between the two already. You know, and fundamental thing is in this, the Iranian regime is still hostile to USA. They might have come to the table, but there's a hostility. In fact, the Iranian regime is hostile to USA. It's hostile to Israel overtly. It might be covertly hostile to Pakistan and other Gulf regimes. And we don't know what their relationship with China and Russia is going to be. It's an unstable kind of a thing. So that's why I thought today we'll talk of all this, right? Okay. I mean, there's a nice graphic which explains the whole sequence. We'll get back to this. We'll come to the knowns and unknowns. You see, as far as the ability of Iran to convert its ore to uranium gas, that is uranium hexafluoride, that's destroyed. Okay. It says possibly destroyed here, but that's gone. There's very little left. Its ability to enrich uranium is damaged but not destroyed. Now, once you enrich that uranium, to convert that uranium to metal, that's what goes into the atom bomb, is possibly destroyed. That's at Esfahan, which I explained to you 2 days back what all has happened. And the ability to make the warhead also, which I said is at Parchin, that's gone. This is a newspaper who doesn't want to commit, but my way of looking at all this is all these are gone, except the issue of enriching the uranium. Let's see it in a little more detail. I've spoken of this earlier, so we're going to start evaluate this and then go ahead. Scientists degraded. Nuclear fuel facility degraded very badly. Okay. Nuclear equipment degraded. Missile launchers, lot taken out. Missile stock, lot taken out. Weapon making ability degraded. But what is left? We spoke of this earlier. Scientists and knowledge, that's not gone anywhere. That's still in Iran. And if Iran wants, they can restart the whole process. Enriched fuel, we don't know whether 400 kg is. It's still a question mark. Residual equipment to make all this, lot damaged, but can they put something together? But for all this, you need the economy. Economy is shot completely. So immediately nothing can happen. But what the long term? That's why I said the long term is the dicey thing, darkness. And military weakness is there. These are there. Okay. So the question is, what happened to the 400 kg of enriched uranium? Where is it gone? That was supposed to be, we don't know where it is. Is it in Fordo or elsewhere? The Iranians will know where it is. But if they are gone dark, and if the Iranians knew that always, when it is not new, that the Israelis will attack Iran, would they have kept the entire lot there? Would they have enriched some and put it somewhere? Uranium, 235, fissile material. Is it stacked somewhere? Enough for 2-3 bombs or that, I always say that backpack bomb. Okay. Have those advanced centrifuges survived attacks? And how many can they scupper out of? So these are the questions which are still unanswered. Now, given that haze over this, if Iran is convinced that their way is still nuclear, if it's a country after all, is convinced that that's the way forward to survive, against Israel and survive against USA, and that's the way to give power to themselves and dominate, the Middle East, and still cast itself as the biggest or the most powerful nation in the Islamic world, it will pursue its ambitions. But that obviously is not in the interest of USA or Israel. I mean, that's what Trump says, no enrichment. But there's a hard reality. What is that hard reality? USA I'm now going to talk what USA can do, because a lot depends on what USA does or can do or will do. At this point of time, it's my considered opinion that USA can neither fully dismantle Iran's nuclear capabilities nor remake Iran's regime. This is my virtually should have been the end point, but I'm starting with it. And we'll then see where the complexity comes. Their attempt is this. Their attempt is still to dismantle nuclear capabilities. Even today, Rubio in some thing here said Iran can't have this nuclear capability. Trump himself has said. So we'll see this. Why can't this happen? Over the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what one has come to know is the R&D, uranium metallurgy, centrifuge engineering. These knowledge is embedded in government agencies. It's not concentrated at one place. Then engineering firms, startups, universities. Some of these facilities have been knocked off, but has everything been done? I mean, from my own experience, a firm might be making small things. It might look very innocent, but that might be the critical thing which is being done, and that no one would have knocked off that capability. That capability is important. That is resident in Iran. There's a lot of compartmentalization, a lot of redundancy, and the Iranian nuclear program is very resilient. We've seen it. And this resilience is not built, over 1-2 years, over a long time. A whole lot of, spaces where this, or, locations where the Iranian nuclear facilities have been spread. Most importantly, Iran has uranium mines. You have the raw material. I mean, for a country like India, we struggle for that raw material. Okay. Iran also knows if it gets into negotiation with anyone, it has very little leverage. There's no leverage. Because it can't threaten militarily. Hardly any military threat is there. Okay. Or they cannot threaten anyone. They can only get hit now. There's no economic leverage. Their allies have left them. So there's no leverage with Iran. So in such a case, what will Iran do? It will be like a tortoise. It will pull itself in and go dark. And what are the options with USA to prevent this happening? That's the thing. So that's what I said in this. Iran might stop cooperating with the IAEA any day. And in fact, they've said so. Once that happens, these inspectors will not be allowed access to any nuclear facility within the country. The parliament has passed a bill, and basically all the hardliners have passed it, right? So all cooperation is going to get banned, and it's going to get ratified any day now. And once that happens, it's going to be dark. The dark Iran. How do you deal with it? Now, yeah, logically you'll say that, look, it's USA which has to do all the heavy lifting in this. I agree with you. USA has to do the heavy lifting. And it's only up to only USA. No other country can, come in. Who can do all this? But what's the track record of USA? One has to see the track record of USA. Okay. I mean, it has repeatedly gone back on its word. Whenever it has offered assurances. And all those assurances have been hollow. I'll give 2 examples. Okay. So, the credibility of USA to carry out this entire story and deal with Iran is very poor. Just go back to 2003 Iraq war. Okay, what happened? Saddam said, I don't have any weapons of mass destruction. And he said, people can come and inspect my facilities. People came and inspected his facilities. Right? People came and inspected his facilities. All those chaps at that point of time said there are no weapons of mass destruction. We don't have evidence of any weapons of mass destruction. Yet Bush attacked. Even now, there's a similarity. The IAEA said, look, they've enriched up to 60%, but there's no evidence that they're going to weaponize. Okay? There's no evidence. Of course, it doesn't take a scientist to understand once you enrich to 60%, which is way above 2% or 3% for for nuclear reactors, and then you have implosion testing going on somewhere. Then you have a heavy water production with where you get plutonium, because plutonium is the fuse for an atomic bomb, right? And all that, and you have a reactor at Bushehr which can keep giving you plutonium in little quantity which you need. There's a very clearly a weapons program, right? Despite IAEA assurances, despite knowing all this, USA went in. We knew. Was there a better method of doing it? They didn't feel so. They went in and did what they had to do. We're here. So the assurances which Saddam Hussein got in 2003 didn't stop the Iran-Iraq war. Bush still went in. Same thing has happened now again. Okay. Look back at 94. You go back to 94. Soviet Union disintegrates. Ukraine is left with a whole lot of nuclear weapons and capability. And that, incidentally, if Ukraine retained the number of nuclear weapons with which it had at that point of time, it would have been the third largest nuclear stockpile after USA, Russia, and Ukraine. Third would have been Ukraine. Ukraine gave it up to USA. And then there was a commitment. I mean, they didn't give it up to USA, sorry. They gave it up to Russia. Then there was a commitment by USA, UK, Russia, everyone, that your territorial integrity will not be compromised. This was given to them in 94. 2014, there's a regime change. Maidan revolution. Thrown out. Expansion into NATO attempted. Integration into EU attempted. All this happened. Okay. In 22, what happens? Ukrainian territory is invaded and their integrity and sovereignty has been eroded. Now that's permanent. Now people are saying all territory captured by Russia will not go back. So these two examples are bad examples for Iran to give up their nuclear thing. Why will they give up? Look at it. Why will they give up? With these, I mean, they're not fools. They know their own situation. Now look at Russia's behavior. Russia has kept quiet because it suits its purposes. Because anything happens, instability in the Middle East, oil prices go up, it benefits. Their fortunes will go up. And these are the guys who made in April a deal with Iran, a strategic deal with Iran. And now they are wriggled out of it. So where does that leave Iran? There's no trust. So Iran is, like a cornered cat. Iran knows it can get attacked by Israel. Iran knows that it can't trust USA. It can't trust Russia now. And China. China is weak. And China didn't help them. So Iran is at a point where they will hereafter not trust anyone. It's a bit psychological. Okay. So Iran says, look, I'm vulnerable. I have nothing left. Why should I tell anyone what I'm doing? I have the knowledge. I have the wherewithal. I have the capability. I know how to make a centrifuge. I know how to make a bomb. I know how to make X, Y, Z. I have the intellectual capability, I have the raw material. Why shouldn't I make? And now they will make it completely dark mode. And they're not fools. Look, go back to 74. We did that peaceful nuclear explosion when American satellites were not over India. They didn't even come to know how we did it. We did it again in 98. You can fool everything. And Iranians, grant them, they've got brains to do all that. Okay. We know that their stockpiles have taken a major hit, but we don't know where they are. We don't know how many components are missing or not missing in their entire story. It's only Iran who knows it. If you have to locate them and come to a deal with them, which USA has to do, or anyone who has to do, okay, that means you need Iran's cooperation. Otherwise, you don't, disarm them completely or get them into a peaceful nuclear program. If you can't collar whatever is there within Iran, it's in different places, then there's a problem for everyone. You have to locate those items. Iran has to cooperate. That cooperation is not there now. They will not give up their enrichment. Okay. The danger, that's what I've given it written in red. Let me read it out. If the United States is unable to trace and capture all program components, it risks the possibility that embattled elements of the current government could covertly sprint for a bomb, and or that these missing components fall into the hands of unpredictable militant groups. That is the danger. Even if regime change takes place, there's some militant group who's got even 10 kg of fissile material. That's a backpack bomb. Dicey. So what is the QED from this? What is the thing which we have to derive from this? Diplomatically, has to be it's incumbent on USA today to persuade Iran not to go dark. Iran must be persuaded to cooperate and open up its nuclear facilities once again. Take stock of the whole story and come on board. And mind you, Iran is a signatory of the NPT. And if they get out of the NPT, well, lot of bets are off. Yeah, I also know that we have not signed on the NPT, nor has Israel signed, nor has Pakistan signed, nor has North Korea signed. And we have a huge nuclear setup. So has Pakistan, so has North Korea, and so has Israel. Everyone knows it. But these states are stable over a period of time. They've not been attacked the way Iran has been attacked. They're not likely to react. There's a psychological aspect which has come into this whole deal with Iran. It's a wounded nation. It's licking its wounds at this point of time. History doesn't suggest something great happening. Okay. Iran is at a place where it cannot trust anyone. That's the point I'm trying to make today. Okay. Now, as far as USA is concerned, USA has so far not been able to cajole or get around any leader in Iran to make any concession. Ulta, you already seen Trump talking against Khamenei talking against Trump. Okay? US threats have been severe. Oh, you don't do this, I will do this. But has US given any assurance to Iran? There's no credibility of that assurance. US, there's a credibility in the threat of US to Iran, or for that matter of Israel to Iran. You don't stop the nuclear program, we'll come and hit you. They did it. But what is the credibility of the alternative? You stop this, we'll do this. There's no credibility in that. That's why I said the example of Ukraine and the example of Iraq. They know it. There's no credibility of that alternative. Why should I give up? Because I don't know what I'm going to get. All I know is if today I give up whatever I have, tomorrow they'll kill me anyway. If I don't give up, they'll still kill me. So I'll take my chances with what I can do. And if I get my nuclear warhead, by God, all these chaps will get sorted out. That's the danger. Okay. Then today there's a thing that, look, if you give up your nuclear, look, if you don't give up your nuclear story, USA said it is assured that I'll hit you. But is the reverse true? That if has US given the assurance to Iran that okay, if you give up the nuclear thing, is there an assurance that I'll not hit you? Assurance of a hit is there. What is the assurance of not hitting? Credibility of the threat is there. What is the credibility of any assurance? Both are not there. Okay? And now Iran believes that no matter what, USA will use force, Israel will use force. If that is the case, why should I talk? See, I'm now talking of a psychology of this nation. And Israel, the way it has behaved, USA, the way it has behaved, both have spoken of regime change. So Iran believes there's a regime change in the pipeline. Now, if it believes that there's a regime change in the pipeline, whether irrespective of the nuclear thing, then there's another problem. This is going to get complicated. It's easy to prosecute a war, but what about the fallout of that war? Can you control it? USA will USA be able to control it? So far, it doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem so. Okay. What about the Israel factor? Okay. Take it for granted. Let's assume that USA conveys everything to Iran. Iran is satisfied that USA will not hurt it. What about Israel? Who will control Israel? Israel is the maverick in this whole story. Is there peace feasible between Israel and Iran? Is there understanding feasible? The history suggests there could be, because you go back to the 60s, 70s, Iran and Israel were good friends. When Israel was having a fight with all Arab nations, Iran was supporting them. But is the dispensation in Iran ready to come to Israel and do anything called peace? Or is Israel ready to come to a deal with Iran? There's a Trump who says I'm a deal maker. Forget about Gaza, what's happening. This will smolder. It's not gone away. That instability will remain. Okay. Is there an assurance USA can give that tomorrow Israel will not take any military action? Remember, Iran is not only weak, it's also weak besides the fact that it doesn't have diplomatic options. Militarily weak, vulnerable. All Iran can do is absorb punches at this point of time. The more you punch Iran today, the more Iran will remember. People of Iran will remember this. It's no more a war of, Israel military and US military versus Iran's military or nuclear capability. It is now a war between Israel's military, US military, and people of Iran. And that is why that story about regime change has to be handled with care. What will the people of Iran decide? So that brings me to the next part of the story, regime change in Iran. How can regime change in Iran happen? Because everything has to have a political end. Like Clausewitz said, war is politics by other means. So, what is that story of regime change in Iran? Yeah, it could be internal factors assisted by external players, which is the normal playbook. It could be completely internal factors, revolutionary factors. But that's not in the history of Iran, incidentally. Or this regime can continue. All three are there. All three options at this point of time are open. Okay. With various degrees of thing. At this point of time, what it seems is regime continuation is likely. The second best is internal factors assisted by external players. Next, internal factors alone is least likely at this point of time. And I'm not talking of a view which is my own. This is the view which comes out from internally from Iran. We'll go into it a bit. Let's talk of regime change. External. The master of the game is US. Okay. In 80 years, 8 decades since, US has overthrown many regimes. There are many color revolutions. You call it regime change, call it color revolution, everything, it has happened. But after each of those, the outcomes have been useless. They're not helpful. You take the case of Iran itself. 1953, it was US which overthrew their leader, Mossadegh, in 93. Sorry, 1953. I said 93. It's 1953. Mossadegh was the prime minister. He was about to nationalize all the Iranian oil companies, so he gets assassinated. Shah is brought in, Shah of Iran. Now he is brought in, that sows the seeds. That sows the seeds of resentment in Iran. And that leads to the revolution. And that revolution leads to this extremist government or this extremist theocracy. Is this the only thing which happened? Look at Cuba, look at Salvador, look at Guatemala, look at all those Latin American guys who were thrown out by USA. And what is their state today? Useless. Look at what all the color revolutions which happened in Europe and East Europe and all that. Serbia. So much violence in Serbia. Today, it is headed by a Kremlin-leaning nationalist. Kyrgyzstan, unstable. Georgia, it's a client state of Russia. Ukraine is under siege. All outcomes have been poor, which USA did. Afghanistan, we know it. Taliban was replaced by Taliban after 20 years. Iraq, they didn't like Saddam Hussein. They threw out Saddam Hussein. Everyone was happy. They put in a Shia regime. What happened? Iran expanded into Iraq and further into Syria, further into Lebanon, and came on the doorstep of Israel. These are the repercussions which have actually happened. Look at Libya. It's a sore. They removed Gaddafi. There's no stability. Has stability come? No. Syria, it's an ongoing problem. Just started happened late last year. We've discussed it. So you look Mali. I mean, you look at anything which USA has done in the past 80 years, the end results have been bad. You look at Bangladesh, which they've done recently. Where is Bangladesh heading? Till August last year, Bangladesh might not have had the best ruler in Sheikh Hasina, but the people were more prosperous. They had hopes. They were progressing. They had leverage against China. They had leverage against USA itself. They had leverage against India. Look at what happened in Bangladesh. Finished. No one, even you, China is not bothering about them. This fellow, that Nobel Prize chap, Yunus, he's gone all round. No one is bothered. They have problems. They don't have water. India has squeezed them completely, and no one is helping them. And look at Pakistan, the way it has been used. Many of the regime changes which have happened in Pakistan have a US trigger. Okay? Or perpetuating a regime in Pakistan has a US trigger or a US support. What has happened in Pakistan? So any regime change which is imposed by Iran or on Iran by Pakistan or anyone will not succeed. I mean, let's not have any doubts. Not in Iran. Definitely not. Okay. We'll come to one more issue. Let's look at another angle. Why has this current regime survived? The two factors. One is sheer brutality. That's it. Fatwas, this, that, virtually killing people, jailing people, brutally stopping all the uprisings, not bothering about people's emotions, and ruling through the book. Over the past, from 79, when Khomeini came to now, there's no opposition. There's no organized opposition today in Iran. Even if you put a regime, who's the guy? There's no legs to stand on. Everyone said Afghanistan, when you put some guy, they brought that fellow Hamid Karzai from somewhere. He was made to be there for 5-6 years. Then Abdul Ghani came. So after 20 years, both these chaps failed. Why? Because they didn't have grassroots support. There's no grassroots support or grassroots opposition in Iran. That's not there anywhere. So is regime change in Iran possible without a clear alternative or opposition within? Can that opposition grow now? Possible. It could grow now as a result of all this. Because of this, maybe down the line, there might be someone within the army or the IRGC or whoever will say enough is enough, we need a change. Or we need more freedoms. Because of the weakness of the clerics and the theocracy today, you might see a dilution in their own government, and maybe 5, 6, 10 years ahead, things might change. But immediately nothing. Even when that Iranian revolution happened, that's what I've written here. When Ayatollah Khomeini came, he was the figurehead who brought together left-leaning Marxists. After all, Russia had an impact on it from the north through Afghanistan. If you go back in that time, Afghanistan itself was quite influenced by communism and Marxism. After all, later, that's why they came in to keep communist regime, floating in Afghanistan. So there was a huge streak of communism, and Marxism or socialism, call it what you want, left-leaning people in Iran who are not happy with the Shah. They were Islamists, the clergy, right? Of which Ayatollah Khomeini was the head. And they were nationalists who felt Shah had to go. Khomeini, through his ability got all three of them together and there was a revolution. Everyone supported. Yeah, it's today they know there would be Marxists, there would be left-leaning people. Equally, there would be right-leaning people. Okay. Islamists are there anyway supporting Khamenei. But they, the other two factions, they know either the left or the right or whatever you call them. There's no leadership. There's no organization. There is a view amongst the young people in Iran that the Islamic Republic of Iran will not survive. Change is coming and it will change. That's what the hope of the young people is. But who will drive that change? USA, Israel, China, Russia. So ultimately, any regime change has to come from within. And for that, societal changes have to take place. That's the $1,000,000 question in this entire business of Iran. Will that societal change happen? Will the society throw up a leader? Is there an environment in which this change can happen? If you look at India, we had Congress dominating for a long time based on personalities. That went at some point of time. Then the Janata experiment came, Janata Party experiment. That went. Got back to Congress, but not so personality oriented. That went. Then we went into instabilities in the 90s, where every Khichdi type of governments came. They also went. Then you came into a minority-led government regime under Narasimha Rao ji went, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee first term went. Then you came back into minority regime with Congress leading, with communists, CAO, all that. It was decidedly a left-leaning government, socialist government. That's also gone. Now you have a rightist government which behaves like a leftist with absolute majority. I wouldn't say absolute majority, a very strong majority. Though it's a coalition government, it's still in strength. Why did all these changes happen in India? It happened because society is so evolved. We have all evolved. Our structure has changed. Everything has changed. But the people's will has been allowed to stabilize the country. And we, the people, have stabilized this country. Unfortunately, in Iran, they have never had this chance. In Iran, they have never had this chance. That's a pity. Pakistan had the chance. They forget Pakistan. They went the Islamic way and now see where they are. My bet, I won't say my bet, my hunch is that Iran knows. The people of Iran are smarter than the Pakistanis. After all, they know they don't have identity crisis and all, where they'll go. But they're struggling without thing. Well, and this struggle is going to continue. And we're going to, you see, why I'm spending a little time on all these issues is, it's easy to talk evil of Iran. A lot of people, I say, oh, Iran is a useless. Why should we support Iran and not Israel only? Why should we support Israel and not Iran? All these things are there. But I'm not looking at it apolitically. Okay. Right. This is the bigger issue. This is the bigger issue, which someone wrote, which I thought I'll present it to you. Beyond the leadership vacuum lies an even more volatile threat: the fragmentation of the Iranian state. What if the state fragments? Iran is a multi-ethnic society, and the sudden collapse of the central authority could trigger a surge in secessionist movements among the Kurds, Balochis, and Azeris. Now, if this happens, and there's a weakening of Iran, then we are looking at a very volatile situation. There will be a set of people in Iran who want to retain power and who feel that the nuclear route is one of the routes to retain power and consolidate power. And if the strong authority is the authority, central authority is not strong enough, then there will be secessionist movements all around. Then there might be an internal problem, like it happened in Syria. Will this go the Syrian model? That's dangerous. Syria didn't have any pretensions of being a nuclear power. It didn't have the capability. Here, there is a chance. Right? So, any way you look at it, in all cases, Iran will be unstable. An unstable Iran is not good for India. That's what I want to put across to everyone. An unstable Iran is not good for India. An unstable Iran, doesn't give us hedges. For example, you have IMEC going and you have INSTC going at this point of time. And you invested into Chabahar. There's a hedge. Okay, after all, the Islamic world has got two facets, the Shia world and the Sunni world. You have a hedge against both. You have a hedge against Pakistan, which is going to be a perpetual problem. You have a reach into Afghanistan through Iran. Now that's gone. If there's a problem, if Iran is unstable, we don't know. Okay. We don't know how the various factions in Iran will play up and interact with Pakistan or Afghanistan. And as a result, how will USA behave? How will Israel behave? How will Saudi Arabia behave? We don't know. And this is a source of energy from the Middle East. What will be the effect on the Middle East as a result of this chaos in Iran is something which we don't know. And which way ultimately Iran will topple, or I won't say topple, will go, will come to rest. We don't know. And that is why today I've spent some time on these issues, which are not normally discussed. It's not discussed. And we have to be sensitive to this aspect. We also have to it doesn't matter which regime comes up in Iran, we have to have our friendship with them. Forget about our choices, who should, govern Iran. Let's respect whoever governs Iran and get our thing through. In fact, the way I look at it, as days go by, in terms of trust, ability, we have the best quotient. Can we utilize it? Because this requires political sagacity. Do you have the political balance and the sagacity to do it? Already our Prime Minister has displayed this. He has already spoken to the President, the current President Pezeshkian. But can it be taken to its logical conclusion? Do you have the strength to go through? Because if you attempt anything, you might be treading on the toes of either Russia or USA or go against Israel or others. How do you do this if you take a fine line? Or rather, how do you do this if you take some initiative? So I think we have a geopolitical opportunity here and a danger here. But in my own opinion, the danger of not doing anything is worse. That will not give you any geopolitical dividend. And that is my last supplication. I think it's time. It's nice to say we are a great power. If you are a great power, we need to behave like it. Okay. With this, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to everyone who's joined me today. Please do subscribe to Gunner Shot, like this video, and also join as a member. Okay, I'll be grateful to all of you because I don't see many people today these days joining in Gunner Shot because the heat of the battle is over. But the heat of the battle might be over. Peace is more important, and that's what I'm aiming to put across: the geopolitics of peace. Right. Yeah, sorry for an unrelated question. How do you see your year of defense reforms going, and what are your expectations? If you could do a video yeah, I'll do it. I'll get someone. In fact, why go that far, Shweta? And to everyone, Sunday, Sunday, okay, 7 o'clock in the evening, okay. I'm getting General Vinod Kandare. He was the advisor to the defense minister, and after retirement, he spent 5 years in the defense ministry. And we're going to talk of this. We're going to talk of this path to Viksit Bharat. Path to Viksit Bharat till 2047. I'm not going to, I'll put it this way. I'll say path to Surakshit Bharat. This, I'll answer your question 100%. Path to Surakshit Bharat. Right? We'll talk of that. And you'll get complete answers. I would suggest all of you join in on Sunday evening at 7 o'clock. We're going to have a blockbuster weekend. Because today, 6 o'clock, I'm going to talk with General Dushyant Singh on the jointness which is coming in, and certain things have happened. We're going to talk of that. 7:30 with Sanjay Dikshit on something. I don't know what the topic. I've just said join in whatever the topic is. Tomorrow evening with General Vinod Kandare at 7 o'clock in the evening. And 8:30 with, all three of us will get together and we'll talk. So let's see how we are going to go. So do join in, and I would suggest continue being with Gunner Shot, and that's it. So I hope I answered your question. Let me take a few questions. Right. Yeah, unstable Iran is not good, but strong Iran is also not good. It should be weak enough to value Indian relations. But something better than this. Okay. Can you see Iran asking for defense equipment from India? If yes, will we ever entertain it considering our ties with Israel and cooperating defense equipment? I don't think it's come to that level. I don't think we are in that space as it. We are not yet in that space where we can think of defense equipment to Iran. First, Iran has to stabilize. Unstable Iran, there's no way you can give anything to them. Right. Yeah. Thanks a lot. You're looking forward for today's show, and you will get good things. Don't worry. Look, my channel is completely patriotic for India. It's not nationalist. I am not a nationalist. I believe in patriotism. Live for India. That's it. That's what I've lived my entire life. That's it. US is like a bull in a China shop. I agree. I find the best option for Iran would be to dump both the Ayatollah and the Shah, establish a democratic government, and work towards earning the trust of the world. Difficult but not impossible. I agree with you. Hard road ahead. Is any government possible besides Ayatollahs or US by? We don't know. That's a tug of war. That's what we're talking. That's what I've tried to portray. Today, there's no movement within Iran which will come up. We don't know. A thing might come up. We might see Iran going through internal struggles for the next 2-3 years, and they might throw up a system. But that's ahead. We don't know. It's good that India has chosen friendly and steadfast Russia than self-centered, distant USA. Dinesh, I'm going to talk of this tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning is going to be another interesting thing. We're going to talk of RIC. I mean, everyone thinks RIC is useless, and Russia, India, China, we'll talk of it, there's a lot of relevance in that RIC in this uncertain world. And how should we use RIC or exploit RIC is something we're going to discuss tomorrow. It's going to be a little different, but these are the options which a country should have. We can't go the US way. I mean, that's out of question. You can't rely on US. Let's be very clear. I mean, I was always of the opinion you can't rely on US. US ke saath, our relationship is going to be very transactional. Earlier, it was probably a little less transactional, but today it's even more transactional. So should you give up on USA? No. We shouldn't give up on USA. Should you hedge against USA? 100%. We'll talk of it tomorrow. Yeah, regime change will be useful if it naturally evolves. I agree with you. US policies to keep the world unstable so that its businesses and armed drugs goes on. Yeah, I agree with you. And that's what we should also be very careful about. Yeah, with power comes hubris. I am with you. Yeah. SH has become a new YouTube member. Thanks a lot. Let me go up and see. Syria has an ex-terrorist as the leader. What can possibly go wrong with that? Look, that country is still not stable. That fellow governs only central Syria. Kurds are acting on their own. The Bedouins are acting on their own. Those Syrian Christians are acting on their own. So things are not happy there. I mean, that is very poor. Yeah, look at Bangladesh. I agree with you. IMF confirms China's real government deficit is 13.2% and not 3%. I agree with you. That's why I've been tracking everything about China, and you people must by now have realized that my grip on China is pretty strong. What I say about China is quite correct, and it's going down at the fastest rate. So maybe I'll talk of RIC tomorrow, and after that I'll get back to China. And maybe Monday, Tuesday we'll discuss China and what's happening in China. Because there's certain things which have happened in China, which China, everything is going to go slow. It's like a big building which is slowly collapsing. It will not collapse. It will not topple over. It will keep collapsing. It will go down. Why did Marco Rubio call Pakistan to advise them and that Iran cannot have nukes? Well, they're playing their games. Americans are playing their games at this point of time. Let them play. They don't have a choice but to play because they put their finger in. They don't have a choice to get out. People are saying worse things can happen, like creation of an Shia ISIS out of the radicalized IRGC and other Shia radicals with nuclear in their cars. No, that won't happen. It's not easy to have a nuclear bomb in your car, right? But there are issues. But an unstable Iran is there. Scenarios can be many. We will not talk of those scenarios. Okay. Sir, are you saying Iran is more unstable than Pakistan? At this point of time, that's where it's heading. Okay. Pakistan is not so unstable politically now. Please understand. Pakistan is unstable for many other reasons. Economically, it's still unstable. The societal instability will not go. They'll be economically unstable. But as far as that, it's not an elected government, whatever it is, but that fellow's gone stable. This is one of the things, my arguments before Op Sindoor. If you see all my videos before Op Sindoor, I was really not in favor of what we did in Op Sindoor to start with. I mean, I had a different view, but that was a different story. The real thing lay in dividing that society and breaking that with Pakistan internally. But by external pressure on Pakistan, Pakistan has solidified. The people of Pakistan have solidified. It will take time for Pakistan to, start its own. It will happen. My guess is it will take 2-3 years. Till then, expect a strong Pakistan. I see Iran as more of a threat to US, Europe. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Why did Iranian foreign minister visit? They got no choice at this point of time. Their only choice is Russia and China still. So they will go, but they'll not trust them. That's the point. They have no other choice. China needs technology from US, steals technology from USA, then sells it to terrorist states like Pakistan. Why is world not condemned? That's the hypocrisy. Any case, why are we bothered? Whether they condemn or not, we should be. Look, my view is this: I'm not interested in condemning China or not, and USA or whoever. The time has come. You have to play real politics. Real politics is what you recognize the problem and stop preaching, stop moralizing, and start acting. Period. In India, we have said, "Oh, this chap has not been condemned. That chap has not been done." You know, Pakistan is a terrorist state. You handle him. You hit him. You don't know whatever you want to do, but be real. Same thing with China. Prepare. Today, China is vulnerable. So handle that vulnerability. Exploit that vulnerability. Why crib whether whatever is happening in China? All my discourse on China is to expose those vulnerabilities. If you know those vulnerabilities, act on them. The government of India has to act on them. And the government of India won't act on them till the people say so. That's why I'm educating the people. Would it not make sense for Iran to build alliances with non-Western players like India or Indonesia or Brazil? Isolationist Iran would backfire for Iran, especially I agree with you. But are they thinking that way? They're not thinking that way. No, they're not looking. At this point of time, they're still looking for avenging death, avenging America, death and destruction to America and Israel. The thinking is different. You said Iran's allies have left. Will Iran ditch Pakistan and form stronger connection with India? Yes, they will. That I am very sure. They won't join I2U2. They will not be allowed to join. Okay, let's be very clear because I2U2 is what? Israel. Okay, they'll not join India. UAE and USA, they'll not join that. Rumors say Iran sent uranium to China. Will you send uranium to China? That's the question. It's not easy to send uranium. Because uranium 400 kg of uranium was not converted to metal. You can't send hexafluoride on an aircraft. Don't go by all these rumors, okay? They are all rumors by idiots. These are all the possibilities. You can always think of possibilities. They are not so. Yeah. Don't you think China's play with India of unofficial trade bans and India cutting dependence on China is like Kalidasan cutting away? Yeah, this will happen. This to and fro will happen. Wait till tomorrow, we'll discuss this. Yeah, M. Kamath, good morning. Yeah, the nuke bomb was mainly from Jewish brains. Oppenheimer was a Jew, so also many others who escaped to USA. Now Iran wants to destroy the only Jewish. Yeah, that's their choice. How did Israel perform in war? It appeared they lacked the ballistic attack front, while Iran lost on air force, cyber warfare planning, etc. Look, Iran had the ballistic option. Let's be very clear. They had the ballistic missiles, but they didn't use it. Right? Please understand. They didn't need to get to that level. I think that tactically, I thought, and operationally, Israel did fantastic. No flaws in this campaign. But strategically, will this lead to what they wanted? That's why I started. What is the aim of the war? Have they decapitated? They've set back the nuclear program, but have they eradicated it? No. Eradication of the nuclear program and coming into some accommodation like Japan or Germany, right, is only feasible politically. For that, there has to be a regime change. Can Israel do that? No. So we are caught in a loop at this point of time. Israel is bestowed with oil, uranium, intelligent people, and strategic location, all in vain. I agree with you. I agree. There's a very important comment you made, all in vain due to religious fundamentalism. Yeah. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. I agree with you. Hart said, when will Op Sindoor start? Should India go for salami slicing of POK or just go for it? All of you are very in a great hurry to do everything to Pakistan. Like I've explained to you, Op Sindoor achieved hell of a lot to India. Hell of a lot to India. But one problem India created for itself is that it made Pakistan together. So whatever you want to do in Pakistan today, you have to first get Pakistan out of that. Disparity in Pakistan has to be generated. Once you do that, things will happen. So be patient. Why are trying so much to not settle things with China looks like going in ways? Because यार थोड़ा अंग्रेजी तो ठीक लिखो यार. I'm not that you know. It cannot be denied that Bharat was the primary target through the earlier Pak attack. Op Sindoor surprised them. They regrouped and attacked Iran, and a secondary target with a view to demonstrate their continued primacy in politics. The present situational outcome may not be satisfactory to the Americans. Is US sanction on Bharat an option for them? It's not an option. Trump has just said we'll have a trade deal with India. If they have a trade deal and sanction us, then the trade deal is done. And if the trade deal with India is done, they are done. Okay. Yeah. Good to see you on. Oh, good to see you back on your hot sheet. Thanks a lot. Yeah. And Hans, good morning. How are you? So I've generally covered all the questions. If there are any questions at the back, I'll take. Martin Wolf said India should start thinking systematically. Systemically and not systematically. Is it time for India to pursue Indian version of five power? These are all fancy talks. Martin Wolf is Fauji. I mean, he's American. I'm not interested in their prescriptions for India. Their prescriptions for India are all disastrous. So I don't even know what these buggers talk. I don't even listen to them. Let me be very honest. I don't listen to them. Some of these chaps keep talking in the YouTube. And I've listened to enough of these chaps, including the Jeffrey Sachs, all those chaps. They're not. If you see, they don't understand India, and that is why I have started this channel, because I find that Indians are coming under the influence of those fools who don't know anything about our country. So I'm talking. You might not like what I talk. That's a different story, right? But if you like it, press that like button. But I'm giving you my viewpoint, which is Indian. I will analyze their viewpoints when required. But I also don't believe these YouTubers in these Firangi YouTubers like Mer Shaimar and all. Now they become artists. They don't do any thing for real output. Their experiential thing is useless. And I'm looking at it from my base of my experience. And the fact that I'm still involved with the government and I'm in a position where I can speak what I want to speak. You see, that's what I'm getting to the table here. I'm not going to talk nonsense. And I don't like all these fellows, most of these chaps. It's not only some of our Indian YouTube people who don't know and they just talk masala. Many of these foreign YouTubers also useless. But I do listen to many of them, to be very honest, and form my own opinions. Their input, information, that you should not. Yeah. Yeah, we have 10 years on forced peace post Op Sindoor. We need to build a resilient Bharat, start producing top 5 import. Yeah, we should do that. I agree with you. That's something which we must. Yeah, this is an important thing which is said. Sorry. Never listen to these white people. They hate India and its growth. They're worried about it, actually. I completely agree with you. Fine. We are done with it. Okay. So join us at 6 o'clock. I'm going to speak with General Dushyant Singh. We are going to talk something about jointness, about the joint directives which are coming up. And, the RM has given out a directive about joint orders and things like that. What is the meaning of all that? So we're going to talk of India Armed Forces. Join in today. It's going to be an interesting discussion. Till then, have a great day. Thank you and Jai Hind.